How's it going, everybody? I'm Tutmo, and this is the first devlog entry for a game I'm working on called Revna. Revna is a top-down 2D RPG that's going to be placed in an open world. I'm still working on the overall objective of the game, but I definitely want it to be an adventure every time you jump in. I'm about 2 months into the game, and there are two core topics I'd like to talk about in this devlog. The first one is character creation. I'm a huge fan of character customization. I love being able to create you. Similar to games like Sims, World of Warcraft, and even Minecraft, where you're just dropped into a world and left to your own devices to create this character in whatever way you want. That's something that's always appealed to me, so that was a huge goal for me to create in Revna. Because of this, the character creation screen was actually one of the first things I built out for Revna. I wanted the player to be able to select from a variety of options to create a relatively basic beginning character in whatever way they wanted. To begin creating this character customization screen, I mapped out a few things on paper and then transitioned a lot of that stuff into Google Sheets, where I've been working on mapping out stuff before I even tried to implement it in Unity. This is where I encountered one of my first huge issues. Once I got it into Unity, I had to figure out how do I not only create this character, but then pull it into the game, saved, and have the character animating. I learned about scriptable objects fairly early on, so I was able to save the data using a scriptable object of the character, and later I learned a little bit about animating and how to pull in all those pieces that the player chose. But the way I actually built out the animation was I used a lot of Unity editor specific scripts. I wasn't aware at the time that these scripts did not work outside of the Unity editor. So everything would work every time I would click play, but as soon as I went to build it out for my first time, I realized it said, "These scripts cannot be built, please remove." And if I removed them, we're talking thousands of lines of code. A really big script. That kind of stopped me dead in my tracks for about a week. Like most things in Unity or development in general, the more you learn about the tool you're working with, the more simplified your solutions get. That's when I started learning about layers. Once I fully wrapped my head around the idea of using one animator having a layer for each part of the body, the feature I was trying to get from the very beginning translated into a successful build, and it was playable outside of the Unity editor. Looking to the future, I really want to expand upon this character creation. I want to include all kinds of options that the player can choose from at the very beginning before they start customizing their player in the game itself, with things like armor and accessories and weapons and stuff to really drive the stats of your character as much as the appearance of your character. The next thing I want to talk about is procedural content generation. When I was first working on this game, it was not a procedurally generated world. I actually sketched out little maps and things of this world that I wanted to create for Revna. It didn't take long for my interest to shift into something more procedurally generated. While I was sitting there drawing out the map, I realized to myself I didn't want to sit here and map out every single tree and rock and location to make sure that it flowed well with how the player would interact with it. What I wanted to do was plan out small pieces or chunks, and I wanted those chunks to kind of come together to organically create the world of Revna. Procedurally generated worlds to me just really mimic what real life is like. Each time you go to a new place, your experience will be totally different. So when I was asking myself what could make this game fun, to me, procedurally generated worlds seemed like a great choice. The first thing I did to begin was I took a 10 by 10 grid of just basic grass in a field. So it could be up to 10 chunks long or 100 chunks. It was relatively infinite, but my first thing was just making all that spit out a giant block of grass. Next thing I did was I started diving into randomization. I wanted to take the grass block that I had and add one more factor, and that just being a grass block with trees. I allowed the algorithm to essentially place either grass, trees, trees, grass, trees. I was just playing around with how they would be placed in this world. Once that was working, I decided I wanted to create just a few points of interest. So I set up 4 towns. They're really just 4 buildings, but I had some constraints. They couldn't just be randomly placed. I wanted them to be placed towards the 4 corners of this map, but they had to have a certain distance between each other as well as away from the very center of the map. Once I added the towns, I wanted to add little caves or little mines, and so I added those randomly throughout the world as well. But the catch was, anytime a mine was near one of the towns, a road would be procedurally generated to connect the town to those mines. That would include intersections and all kinds of things to basically start connecting the pieces in this world. Today, I'm at a point where I've got 4 unique biomes, and within each of those biomes is a central epicenter, which I'm currently using a cave for. I'm not sure if that's where it's going to end up, but I've got a little cave in the very center, and the idea is anything within the radius of that cave will become part of the biome. For example, if you're in a fire biome, you'll see grass, you'll see trees, but they'll be singed or something like that. For the future of this procedurally generated world, I'm really working on polishing up these biomes. I want them to blend into each other very well. And another thing I want them to do is have them kind of interact with each other in a somewhat systemic way. For example, water can put out fire, but fire can burn nature, and so on. I'm very proud of everything I've accomplished so far with Revna, but I am probably more excited about the direction it's going. I really want this to be a living, breathing world that the player can interact with in whatever way they want to. More exciting things to come for sure. If you're interested in following me along in my journey, definitely hit that subscribe button, and if you like this video, please smash the like button. And if you're interested in getting involved at all, feel free to check out revna.org or join my Discord. I've got those links posted in the description below. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.